Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Outer Realm with myself, Michelle Desrochers, and Amelia Pisano. We are broadcasting live here on the UFO Paranormal Radio Network tonight, 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM in New Orleans. Tonight, we welcome Mr. Rick Mccallum back to the show, and we will be discussing different aspects of the paranormal. Woohoo, yay. Anyway, get yourself settled in for a great segment. It's going to be a lot of fun. In order to participate in the show tonight, you need to go over to the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. And that's me. Sorry.
I was going to say, it's not me. It's not me.
Deja vu. I know that was me listening to an earlier broadcast. Anyway, let me do it again. So get over to the UFO Paranormal Radio Network page, not the usual one, and subscribe. Join us in the chat room. The show will be streaming on different platforms. Actually, we're going to be on different Facebook page groups, if I'm not mistaken, and so on. So just look for it. You're going to kind of see it flashing up all over the place. The chat will come in onto the studio board. We will be able to see it. The only one we will be able to type back to will be the UFO Paranormal on YouTube, but we will try to go through your comments so you can hear it. But we will see them, and we will try to direct them over to our guest and address questions and so on. Otherwise, tag Amelia and we will go from there. So she is going to get the post up, and I am going to approve said post. So
yeah, I'm doing that one right now.
Yes, because apparently YouTube did a big faux pas and took down United Public Radio, and it was a big faux pas. Should not have happened, guys. So scream at them, get mad, because that should not have happened in any way, shape, or form. No. So we're getting a little bit tired of it. So with that being said.
Yeah. It's nice to know that I'm on the same network every bloody week. Just saying.
I know.
Okay. So it'll take a second for everybody to get here.
Yeah, it'll take a while. And, people are kind of bouncing back and forth. But just so you all know, when we do the show, it actually goes on United Public Radio and UFO Paranormal Radio. It does go on both on an average. So you can find us usually every week on both. But tonight it's just on the UFO Paranormal. So anyway, we're just waiting for Rick. So we're just bringing him on. But yeah, great day today. It was like really warm out here, like ridiculously warm out here. So today was nice. It felt like summer day. Yeah, I like it.
I didn't get to enjoy that. My daughter did, though. She sat outside quite a bit today, which is, I'm happy for her because she's been feeling really down because of her illness. And on a different note, if I can, for just a second.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, thank you. Tomorrow is World Kidney Day Awareness. World Kidney Awareness Day 2021. You can hashtag that. And I've already posted about her. She's expressed her thanks. And I found out that the post that we did last week was shared by the Kidney Foundation of Canada, Ontario. So
I like it.
It was nice to be a part of that. And thank you both, you and Joe. It's nice. We're just creating awareness. Nobody's asking for money. If you want to donate, by all means, there's a link there. But it was just a campaign that ends tomorrow at midnight, and you just hold up 6 fingers and hashtag 6 degree challenge. Yeah, because everybody knows someone, or they are someone who has an illness with kidney disease. And what I didn't know is that there are 37 million people in the United States affected by kidney disease. So it's not just Canada. This is World Awareness Day. And that is, from what our guest that's coming on, Rick, told me, was that's 10% of the population. That's huge.
That is huge. Yeah, that's crazy.
That number exceeds COVID just by a bit. Just saying, but it's something.
Did you say the C word?
I said the C word. Are we going to get banned here now? Because that is a fact.
It's not naughty bubbles.
Yeah, but it is a fact. It is a high number for 37 million. Is a lot of people.
It is
a lot of people affected.
It is. It is always a good cause when you can put things out there and raise awareness for sure. So I'm having a little bit of an awareness right now, awareness moment that we don't have a guest yet.
He's not there yet.
130.
There he is. Hello.
Hi. Oh, I went sneaky like a 12-year-old. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Amelia. Hello, Michelle.
Hello. How are you?
It only happens when Rick's on.
What?
Oh, he messaged me. I'm backstage. Okay.
Yeah.
I was there when you wanted me. I was a good boy.
There you go. I'm having an awareness moment. Where's the guest?
Where's our guest?
I know. Joe was hiding you. Oh, there's Zach Man. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, we were locked out of our other account right now because YouTube was having, it's a moment
with the network. Yeah.
Moment. So anyway, how are you?
Well, I'm just wonderful. Look at this. I got you two to look at and to talk to. I mean, how great could it be?
Thank you. I love your T-shirt. I really love your T-shirt. Hollywood Ghost Hunters. I want to know all about Hollywood Ghost Hunters.
Well, there's a lot to know about the Hollywood Ghost Hunters.
Excellent.
We got probably the most recognition when we were on Ghost Adventures.
Right.
We hunted along with Zach and the boys at the Pico House here in LA.
Right.
And for the people who don't know, the other two guys that generally ghost hunt with me is Kane Hodder, who played Jason in the Friday the 13th movies, and Victor Crowley in the Hatchet movies, and 8,000 other movies. And Ari Mihailoff, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and me.
All the horror greats, and then the incredible stuntman.
So what?
I love her.
Yeah, what she said. I like it. So, what prompted you to bring the group together? We all just hanging out one day and said, you know what we should do? We should start a paranormal team. What sort of brought it together?
Well, it's really strange. I've been ghost hunting since I was 13.
Right.
Now, as you can tell by this, that wasn't last week. Okay. When I first started, we had to use, like a chalkboard and a chalk, to draw.
Sure.
We didn't have any of the nice equipment we have nowadays. Yeah, so, stuff like that.
I still use that, actually. That's a brilliant thing.
I think it's I think it's amazing. I don't think people should ditch that.
You really want to try something, use Rice Krispies.
Crunch, crunch.
Yeah, exactly. You'll hear anything moving along. But the way Hollywood Ghost Hunters got started was Kane and R.A. and I were doing a movie in Mansfield Reformatory, which is very haunted. It's where they did the Shawshank Redemption and some of Air Force One. And it is a very haunted place. Well, I have always ghost hunted, like I say, forever. And I've ghost hunted with other groups and things like that. And I never found anybody that I wanted to start a group with because everybody went backwards when they heard noises. Oh, I want somebody to go forward, right? Well, Kane and I had just finished shooting at Mansfield. We're way back in the cell blocks. To anybody who remembers what they look like, they're scary. They're, it's rusted cells and the moonlight coming in. It was like 2 a.m, and we're way in the back. And we're walking along, and Kane says to me, now, I had never told him I ghost hunted. I hadn't told anybody, really. And he looks at me and he goes, hey, let's ghost hunt. I'm like, well, okay.
What? Really?
Right? So we were going around, and all of a sudden I looked down at the end of the cell block, which is probably at least 50 yards away, and I see a shadow going across. And I turned to talk to Jason, I figured now we got something going. And I turned to tell him, and he's gone. And I'm thinking, oh, great. Even the big scary Jason guy runs away. Right. But then when I turned back this way, he had already taken off and he's running down the thing towards them. And I went, that's who I'm starting a group with, that guy. So then we needed somebody better looking than the two of us, which wasn't really setting the bar very high to begin with. And we ended up with R.A. Mihailoff, who he always says we brought him in because they needed a pretty face. So, and if you want to look up R.A. Mihailoff, you want to see that he lies through his teeth.
Oh, there, that's perfect. Yeah, he can be the ghost bait. So, and just for the record, this that you have, those are wisdom whiskers.
Oh, is that what they call that?
I usually
just call it laziness, actually.
No,
it suits you. Yeah. I've seen you without it. It suits you.
Well, it covers up part of my face, so I'm happy with it.
Jesus.
I thought you'd be wearing my hat tonight. What happened?
What hat? What? Yeah, I've never gotten a hat from you. I've gotten a bracelet from you.
I made it and I sent it to you.
Oh, that one, yes. That's actually no.
My heart just broke.
No, it was actually very nice. I went and put it in. Wait a minute, I have an answer. I went and put it in my winter coat.
Oh, there you go. For when you go to Scotland. Yeah, because Rick is allergic to all fibers and he can only wear cotton. And that's why I'm like, oh, I've got tons of it. I'll make it for you and I'll send it to you with the St. Benedict bracelet from Bishop James. He's like, okay.
Yeah, so those were nice surposes. Yeah, that's why I forgot about it, because I didn't want to forget about it. I put it in my coat.
Okay, you're let go. We'll let that go this time.
Okay, good.
This is a really big thing in your life right now.
Well, yeah, it really is. That's pretty much tells everybody what I'm all about, and kind of scary, to throw yourself out there, write down everything that was going on.
What made you decide to write it? We talked a little bit about the book the last time, but we never asked you why you wrote it. And I know because I listened to the whole show again.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been on different TV shows, different radio shows, and a lot of conventions, and everybody says, well, tell us stuff. Yeah. And I start telling them stories, and finally, so many people said, why don't you write a book? Why, man, these stories are great. And I said, you know what? Maybe I should. So I just started, writing them down. And finally, after about a year, I looked and I had a list this long of things. Like, the list is like 3 times longer than what's in the book. I mean, I put in the main stuff. There's a lot of stuff in there that's iconic places that I thought people would like, that really strange things happened on. And, the different behind the scenes things we did in the movies. And, it's not a straight paranormal book, but it's 90% paranormal. But there's other stuff that will lead you to it. So it's actually pretty good. And I'm really happy because there's all the reviews on Amazon, all of them are 5 stars. So
wow. Congratulations.
Excellent.
And the other thing I like is, I don't know if you guys know this, but I always donate part of the profits to St. Jude. So the better it does, the more I like it.
Oh, how awesome is that? That's excellent.
And these shirts also get donations. So
wow. Look at you. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Rick helped in the 6 finger challenge as well. Thank you for that.
That's awesome.
It's tomorrow's the World Awareness Day. I'm throwing that in there. That's amazing that you're supporting St. Jude's Children's Hospital as well. It's an extremely worthy cause. That's so kind of you. You've also, what I love about it is when other people share their stories, you highlight it so that people know that it's their perspective on here. Was that something that you always wanted to do?
Yeah, I thought it gives more validity to a story, because I can write down anything I want if nobody else is there, or if somebody else was there and I don't let them to tell their side of the story. So anytime something bizarre happened and there was somebody else there, what they saw happen is highlighted in the gray text, so they can see what I say happened and what they say happened. And fortunately for it, most of the stories are pretty much spot on, but little different perspective, but they're all spot on. So, I got shoved down the stairs in one place, and there was a girl sitting behind me, so she put her part in there, and had other stuff that happened at Hellfire Club and.
But that's good validation too, though. That's good validation. It shows that you had a witness to what happened.
Well, that was one of the things I wanted it to be more real. I didn't want it to be, just me sitting down one day and thinking stuff up.
Right.
Because, so, I mean, everything in that book is as true as I can possibly remember. And like I say, this is not paint.
Right. Wisdom whiskers.
I will say,
great. Men look great as they get older. Women, we need that dye bottle, that color bottle. But tell us about, I keep putting up this book. I have to put it down because I'm very fidgety. Tell us about Hellfire. I know Michelle knows about it, but I know nothing about it. So
well, the Hellfire Club,
tell me the story and then your experience.
Well, the Hellfire Club is actually not just one place, but it's really two. There's one in England and there's one in Ireland. And I was fortunate enough to have the guys from Scottish Paranormal, which is a world-class ghost hunting group. They really are. And I'm very lucky to be an honorary member of them. And I get to ghost hunt with them all the time in Scotland. And I tell you, those guys are world-class, without a doubt. Very proud to be part of their group. But they invited me to, first off, they asked me, they said, would you like to go to the Hellfire Club? And I started laughing. And they said, why are you laughing? I said, because one of my relatives was a member of the Hellfire Club. And they said, are you kidding? I said, no. No, I said, John Wilkes, who was the Lord Mayor of London and was in Parliament. He actually was one of my relatives. And I said, sure, I'd love to go. So we go and we landed in Belfast. We went from Edinburgh. We landed in Belfast and we drove down to the Hellfire Club. Now, anybody that's planning on going there, be prepared. It's about at least a half a mile up a very steep hill. Okay? Really? You have to walk up there. And this was right after I blew my knee out. So it took a while for me to get there, but I made it. But when we got up there, it's a very strange place. I mean, it's like a big, roundish kind of looking building, almost all rock. With there's right behind it, there's a forest, and just standing there, you get this feeling that there's a lot of stuff in that forest. And we walked in, and we all spread out. We were all doing our thing, and the really weird thing that happened was they had brought a Frank's box with them. Are you familiar with that is? They call it the telephone to the bed. Yeah. And they were going through it and they weren't getting much. So I walked over and I said, can I try? And they said, yeah, go ahead. And I said, hi, my name is Rick. I'm from the United States. I just came over here to talk to John Wilkes. I'm supposed to be your relative. And it said a couple of words and then it goes, relative? And I said, yeah, I'm your relative. My name's Rick. I just came by to say hi. Right. And it goes, hi. Right. And I went, what? And it went, hi, Rick. Right. Wow. And they're looking at other people in there going, what? Right. Wow. And then I asked it. Now, this is the topper because there's no chance in the world this word will ever come up in a Frank's box session. John Wilkes was really famous because he was kind of a prankster. So I said, if I do have John Wilkes here, is the story true that you dressed a baboon up like Satan and turned him loose into the club and scared the hell out of all the members? Right? And it said a couple words and then it went, baboon. And I mean, their jaws dropped. I mean, so yeah, it was about as straightforward and, positive answers. I mean, when are you going to hear relative, hi, Rick, and baboon in five minutes?
Exactly.
The chances are astronomical.
Great validation.
No, that's fantastic. That's like a direct dialogue going on. It's not because people get really funky when it comes to the ghost box. I mean, I've had some designed for me. I actually have a Frank's box here, one made by Frank Sumption, and it just doesn't see. Yeah, I'm babysitting it for a friend right now. So, but I'm pretty grateful to have it, and I've had the pleasure of communicating with Frank, and he was very interesting man. But people get really funky with them. They're like, oh, it's just radio waves, or it's this or it's that. But you know what? Spirits are known to ride the waves. I've seen it happen. I've had voice recordings come through, old answering machine recordings come through, and I always find it interesting because I hear faint sound of music in the background, which tells me they're riding the waves in one form or another to be able to use the words. So the fact that you're getting all of this intelligent stuff, but in sequence that makes sense, it just proves that it proves without a doubt that you actually had dialogue going with it.
Well, let me ask you a question. How many times have you heard or actually had it happen to yourself where your equipment dies because the battery's drained?
A lot.
Okay, then why isn't it possible that the Frank's box, that they could use the energy in the Frank's box to communicate?
I agree with you.
I mean, that only makes sense to me.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. I find that spirits, if you give them a way to communicate, to give them a voice, they will use it. You're still dealing with intelligent people. They're just people without bodies. You explain to them how it works. Yes, they're going to figure it out, right?
Well, one of the things that I do that I haven't really seen very many people do, when I go into someplace, especially in Scotland, because Scotland's got older, buildings and things like that.
Yeah.
I will go in and first off, I'll introduce myself. I'll say, hi, I'm Rick. I'm here and I'd really like to talk to you if you want to talk to me. And then I'll say, do you see this light right here, the green light? This is a little machine that I can use to talk to you. But here's the way it works. If you come up close, it'll put more lights on. And then if you back away, I can get yes and no answers from you. And the Scottish paranormal guys, if you look at the back of the book on there, one of them said, if Rick is there, spirit is there. Because I have walked into a couple places where they said K2 doesn't work here, right? And I said, who's the person that you say you talk to all the time? And they said, Mary Sibald. And I said, Mary Sibald, are you here? And it goes all 5 lights. And they went, how does that always happen with you? And I was like, I don't know.
I'm just charming. That's what I would say. It's my charm.
Well, you know what? I changed my method a long time ago. I grew up on the south side of Chicago.
Right.
Where we tend to be kind of blunt and straightforward. And I was one of those guys that went in, all right, you dirty ghost, you better show up or I'm going to pull your eyeballs out and stuff like that.
Oh.
And then one day, it just dawned on me, if I was sitting in my house and somebody came in and started saying that stuff to me, I'd kick them in the butt and throw them out.
That's
I changed my tactics completely. Now when I go in, I open myself up, make myself as pleasant as I can be. And I have gotten so much more activity. I mean, it's amazing how much activity I've gotten, to the point that even guys like Scottish Paranormal go, this is ridiculous. What's going on here?
Because you're respectful. That's why I don't always agree with, challenging and calling them out and demanding. Don't put demands on them. They're people. They're people. They're still people. And if you want them to give you the respect of giving you an answer, then give them the respect. I've not had issues getting communication because I'm respectful.
Well,
and
I agree
go
with that 100%.
with good intention, right?
Yep.
It's about your
that. I've actually been on ghost hunts with other people, and they start doing that. And I turn around and said, don't do that. And they said, why not? I said, first off, you're not going to get anything back. It's a waste of time. I said, the second thing is it's just annoying. Here you're trying to communicate with something. Would you go up to a dog that was afraid of you and start yelling at it? No. You go up, put your hand out, let them smell it, and then you make friends. It's the same with a ghost. You don't chase it. You let it come to you, just like a dog. A dog will come to you. A ghost will come to you if you have the proper, vibration that they can pick up.
What do you do if you have somebody who doesn't even realize that they're dead? Then it's not so much a ghost. This is an actual individual who's wondering why nobody's paying attention to him or her.
Well, I think there's a lot of lost souls out there. I really do. And I've actually, and no one can say positively they've ever done this. And I can't either. But I do believe that I crossed somebody over one time. And you talk about a really special feeling for the rest of the year. That's it.
Yes.
Because I kept saying, go closer to the light. Are you going closer? And it would go and go. And it said, all right, now here's what I want. I want the lights to go down so I know you're not so close to me. Okay. And it went like all 4 or 5 lights. And I said, are you going? And it went down to 3. And the people are standing there watching. Right. I said, keep going. And it went down to 2 and was flickering. I said, are you there? And it flickered. I said, can you please do something so we know that you made it across? Right. And this one girl was standing to this side, one girl was standing to this side, and the girl on this side went. And I did too, because I heard something. Now, you both know that you never say, did you hear them say this? Because then that's what I heard. You always say, what did you hear?
What did you hear? Yeah.
That's a big mistake.
I said, did you hear something? And she said, yes, I did. I said, what did you hear? She goes, I heard a man's voice. I said, so did I. What did you hear? She goes, he said goodbye. Right. And I looked and, you could see it really affected the people who were there. So, when you say
an emotional moment
and it goes goodbye, that's
you're saving the soul.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That's a really big thing. That's a big responsibility.
I don't know if I saved it, but I pointed it in the right direction.
Well, you did in a way, because if you wouldn't have pointed him in the right direction, then he may still be lingering around just hoping that somebody would point him in the right direction. And some of these souls just eventually lose their way and become really maybe agitated because they're trying to reach out to people who just don't hear them or aren't capable of hearing them. And then they just become lost. And sometimes it became really mean, because they're fed up.
Well, I think the problem is, too, that too many people in ghost hunting are into the gotcha moment. Once they get I got you, instead of just sitting there and just saying, well, nice to meet you. My name's Rick. Actually, one of the most amazing K2 sessions I've ever had was 2 stories below a hotel. I won't say the name of it, in Edinburgh. One of my friends was the front desk guy, and he said, can you come down and talk to us? So I said, okay. We went down there, and I instantly started getting stuff. And I said, is there any Wi-Fi down here? He said, no. I said, power cables, anything down here? And he goes, no, we're both, there's nothing down here. So I did the baseline sweep, and I didn't get anything. And it was funny. I said, is there anybody down here? Right? Nothing. I said, if you want to talk to us, all you have to do, and I explained the light, and it goes off 5 lights. And he looks, his eyes light up, and he's holding it, right? And I said, did you live here? Right? And it goes off all 5 lights. And I said, okay, let me ask you this. And I'm double checking. I ask him the same question twice all the time. And I told him, I said, if you come closer, we can communicate. And I told him that. And it comes up and it's all 5 lights. I said, okay, move back. So it goes back down to 1. And it instantly goes down to 1. And he looks over at me. And I said, yes, that's how we can communicate. Now you've got it. So we started talking again. And then I said, I asked him a question, and it goes 5 lights, and it's sticking. I said, go back to 1. And he goes, boom, immediately, right? So I asked him, I said, can I ask you how many spirits are here? Would you light it up when I get it right? And I said, are there 2? And it goes 5 lights. And he looks at me, and I went, 3, 4, 5. And he's looking at me like, it just went off on 2, right? And then I went, 2, and it went all 5 lights again. And he goes, oh, now I get it, right? But then I asked it, I said, can I ask you what years you were here? Were you here in the 1900s? So the 1800s, 5 lights. So it was everything went like this. It wasn't like, wait, like go back to 1, instantly to 1, twice. And you can say all you want about there might be Wi-Fi, there might be things like that, but I can't make Wi-Fi turn off, and I can't make electricity turn off and go back to 1.
No, exactly.
Like that. Something else had to have done that.
No, exactly. Do you ever come across spirits that are just very, frustrated with the questions? Because I think sometimes people ask questions like, I like that you interact intelligently, because I think one of the most, I remember doing an EVP session one time, and it set precedence for how I do things, like being aware of the surroundings, looking at maybe photographs and asking questions based on that, especially if I'm dealing with Victorian spirits or older. And I remember there was somebody, it was a tour, so there was somebody else there from another group, and they were asking, is there anybody here? Things like that. And the way this series of questions went on, it became evident that the spirit was just annoyed, because the spirit just said, stop it. Just like, stop it.
Stop it.
And that was the recording he got when he played it back. I'm like,
that's pretty straightforward.
Stop it. Because you have a spirit who's standing beside you. Is there anybody here? I'm thinking it's like a lack of intelligence. They're thinking like, I'm right here. What's wrong with you? Is there anybody here?
Yeah.
It kind of felt like.
Is this thing on?
Yeah, because it felt like a bit when you listen to the EVP, it sounded a little bit of this like sarcastic, like, oh, stop it. Like, and I'm like, I think you've been told. So have you ever encountered something like that? Or,
You were schooled.
Well, I did encounter a very angry spirit, which we knew through the K2 that it was telling us to leave by what happened. There's a house up here that a world famous magician who has died like in the 30s. I'm not going to say his name. I promise not to. But if you don't guess who he is, you're not thinking.
I know who it is.
But anyway, we went up to this house and we were ghost hunting all through the house. Huh? No.
Did he drown?
I'll leave that right there.
I think he died from something, his appendix burst or something from somebody who punched him a couple days earlier.
That's the same guy. Yeah.
But anyway, we go in there and we walk into this basement area. Me and one of my other guys named Ed, who was one of the Visigoths in the Capital One commercials, the Viking-looking guy.
Nice.
And he's like 6'3", 300, right? So we go walking through the door, and this giant shadow goes across the wall. I figured it was us. The two of us can cast a pretty good shadow. So I said, Ed, come back. And we went back and forth, couldn't cast any shadow. So we went in there, and there were two single beds, separate. You kind of expected Lucy and Desi to be sitting in them. But anyway, we went in, and I set the K2 meter on the second bed and the voice recorder on the bed. And I went and sat down because we've been walking all day. I went and sat down on this futon. And Ed picks up the K2 meter, and he walks into the bathroom. He said, I'm going to get a bass reading, right? And then he says, Rick, you better come in here. So I walked in, and we started talking. We said, is this the famous magician? Nothing. Is this the famous magician's wife? Nothing. Is this the owner of the house? Nothing. And finally, Ed, we had talked to the lady that invited us, and she said there used to be a quartz mine underneath this place.
Oh.
And Ed goes, were you a miner? Bam, 5 lights, right? So he goes, that's it. And I said, were you the magician? Were you the wife? And I went through it again. I said, are you the miner? Boom, 5 lights again, right? So we started trying to talk to it. And you could tell that it wanted nothing to do with us, right? So I said, Ed, let's get to the bottom. It says, do you want us here? If you do, light it up. Dead silence. I said, I'll tell you what, if you light this all the way up to 5, we'll leave. Bam, all 5. Right?
Wow.
I said, I have to check this.
To be left alone.
I said, if you do it again, all 5 will leave. Boom, all 5 again, right? So we start to walk out. I pick up the recorder, and we stop, and the thing goes all 5 lights again. I said, are you trying to tell us to leave? Boom, 5 lights.
Now you're bullying me.
Yeah. Get out.
But the weird thing is I got a good EVP from there, and you hear Ed say, I'm going to get a bass reading, and then you hear, no. Ooh. I mean, very, very forceful. And I was on the bridge at Roslin Castle in Scotland, next to Roslin Chapel.
Yeah, it's very beautiful there.
In England. And they asked me if I ever had any EVPs. I said, well, this one's like 6 seconds long. And I played it. And the guy goes, holy cow. And I said, yeah, no. And he goes, no, what it says right before it. And I went, huh?
There's EVP there?
I've heard it 100 times. And he goes, no, there's 4 words right before that. So I pick it up and as loud as it'll go. And my Sony doesn't go that loud. But I could hear. So I knew there were actually words there.
Right.
So I had one of the guys from the Scottish Paranormal, who's a really good. The Scottish Paranormal guys all have their own thing. One does audio, one flies the drones, one does, they all have their own space that they're really experts at. And he cranked up the volume for me, and I didn't tell him what it said and what the guy told me it said. And what he told me it said is exactly what it says. And when you listen to it now and tell me this isn't an angry spirit, you hear Ed go, I'm going to get a bass reading. And then you hear, get back here, punk. And then you hear, no. So that spirit did not want us anywhere near that bathroom.
Wow. Wow. I mean, if you think about it, you're dealing with people who've been gone for a very long time. I think they have a lot of time to build up that energy. I mean, you look at some spirits that they never get the strength to really, if I say this side of the world, we're pretty young in comparison to Europe, but it's hard for them to build up the energy to put in sentences like that. You're lucky just to get the odd word here and there.
Yeah.
I'm getting feedback. Just saying, Joe.
Yeah, probably coming.
Yeah, no, that
might be coming from Rick.
It could be.
Thank you.
Do you have us on your computer microphone?
My microphone's right here.
Okay. It could just be it's picking up the speaker and it's, do you have a headset on?
No.
Okay,
that's what it is.
Okay, that's why. That's what
it
is.
Okay. We know what it is.
As we know.
That way I'm not readjusting everything at my end going, what's going on?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Generally, I don't have that problem.
No, we just a sensitive system. Don't worry.
Yeah,
we'll hold the leg and we'll be okay.
Well, I can turn it down too, so it won't be quite as bad. That's very funny about what you say.
What? Is this a thing now?
Oh, dancing. Yeah, I can't sign language, but I'm just saying, as long as you can hear us, we're good.
Now wait a minute. You're trying to tell me an Italian girl can't sign language? I know several that you could come up with.
Can sign
I only
language.
know a few.
She's telling you stories.
You know the good ones.
Stories.
But no, that was.
I know them in a few languages. Let me tell you.
I learned a good lesson too at another place. Was the Pico House where we did the ghost adventure thing. About a year ago, another group asked us to come out and ghost hunt with them. Well, Kane was off doing a movie, which he always is. So RA and I went, and when we got there, I took him downstairs to where Nick and I had a whole bunch of stuff happening, and I said, let's start talking to him. So I was trying to get some interaction, and nothing was happening. And then I remembered the story about what happened to the Pico House. The Chinese Tong killed an Irish cop, and when I say Mexicans, this isn't a slur. They were Mexicans because they were from Mexico, and that was at the time half of it was part of Mexico in the first place. So, well, the Mexicans and the Anglos had a war with the Chinese Tong, who was trying to take over everything, and 19 people got killed in the riot.
Wow.
So as we're walking along, I'm asking, and something all of a sudden pops into my little pea brain. And I turn around and I said, can anybody here speak Spanish? And this girl goes, I can. I said, after I say something, ask it a question, can you do it 10 seconds later in Spanish? So I would ask the question, I would get nothing. She would ask it in Spanish, and we get 4 and 5 lights every time.
Wow.
So it just told me that if you're going to a location where they speak a different language, you might want to have somebody there that actually can speak the language. Because you see people going to, these ghosts, they go to ghostly places from the 1500s in the Netherlands, and they go, so how are you? And they're like, well.
It's tough because there's that theory about language barrier on the spirit side. I encountered this when I went to Romania, and a girl on my team, also a friend, was Romanian and is from Romania. So when we were speaking with the spirits, they were speaking avidly in Romanian. And I said, can you please speak English? That was my way of testing the theory of a language barrier. And they went, da, which is yes in Romania. And then it went, yes. I was like, okay, good. But up until we asked, it was constantly just Romanian. And I'm just like, I can't understand it. And she's translating, but it's just like, I said, let's just test this theory. So I find if I ask if they can speak English, more times than not, they will. Doesn't mean that they want to. So, they were speaking a lot more in Romanian, but at least I got a few answers, like run in English.
I'm going to have to try that myself, because that would be extra interesting if they could speak both. Yeah,
and they did. It was a really good experiment. Because they would say something in Romanian and they would say, okay, go now, run. Or, they would warn us about things, but always in both languages. They wouldn't just say it in English. They would say things in just Romanian, but if they spoke English, they would say it in Romanian also.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to Romania this year. Actually last year I was supposed to go to Romania.
Us too.
Yeah, we got canceled out. So
yes, great.
Maybe some spirits that are stuck and haven't ascended, maybe they have the language barrier. It would make sense if they haven't ascended and they haven't crossed, that they would still be stuck in the same language as well as time or space. Sorry, not time.
That would make sense.
I wonder if that. Yeah, I wonder.
A lot of the spirits are grounded, though. That you come across, So I don't know. It's very strange,
especially in ancient sites.
It's all theory until somebody can get it figured out,
Yeah, everything in ghost hunting is conjecture.
It is.
And the way you see things. I have people tell me, because I get a lot of people, send messages to me and stuff like that to ask, different ghost hunting questions. And some of them have the most outlandish stories. Mm-hmm. But I never tell them that their story isn't true, because I wasn't there, number one. Mm-hmm. I'd been standing with 5 people and I could see something clear as day, and none of the 4 of them could. Mm-hmm. So, I never put down anybody's story, because mm-hmm. it might have happened. I had no way for me to know.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a good attitude. Go ahead.
I had a conversation. Thank you. I had a conversation with Rick last week, and I mentioned skeptic. So I'd like you to define it for our audience, Rick, because I loved your answer. What is a skeptic?
Oh, this is Rick's dictionary. A skeptic is somebody who hasn't seen a ghost yet. Yeah, I know a lot of skeptics that after we ghost hunted, they were not skeptics anymore.
Me too.
That's like there are no atheists in foxholes, right?
That's what they say.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I believe that. I don't blame people for, you have people who just have to see something, to believe it. And I was investigated the Hoia Baciu forest in Romania, which is the haunted forest. Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It did not disappoint at all. And we did have a skeptical person there, hardcore skeptic. And when things started happening, there was one part where the one section of a tree line looked like something, it was going down like this, like something was coming over it. It was very strange. There was no wind. It was a hot July night of the supermoon, really just dead air, literally. And things are really going to get good when the skeptical guy goes, I don't think that's supposed to happen. And we're like, what? And we turn around like, oh no, I don't think that's supposed to happen either. This is totally not a good thing right now.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but for us, it was just like, oh wow, okay. So he notices it. He's panicking, and that whole night, even when we finally got back to the room, something followed back, and in both rooms, because we were 2 and 2, all kinds of things were happening in both rooms. And he came down the next morning and just basically went, he goes, I have no explanation. And that's all. I'm just going to leave it right there.
Like, okay. And I'm never going with you again.
That's okay. I don't need you now.
I'm not a skeptic, and I don't want to go with her.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll meet out
to get back.
The boundaries of the forest, and you call me if you need anything, just text, okay?
It's an exceptional place. It does not disappoint. It is almost from
creepy
start to finish.
Yeah.
I got there 4 p.m. from start to finish. It never stopped.
I have to go there. That was one of the places we were going to go to too.
You do. but there's a couple of ways in, and there's 2 circles, so you have to make sure you know exactly where your coordinates are. So
I'm going to call you guys up and ask where they are. So
I will get them for you. I will get them for you. I absolutely will.
Not me.
It's a great place. Yeah, people camp there. It's very unusual because
oh God,
we found out that it was, of course, Romania's Bermuda Triangle. We found out, like after the fact, we found out that it's a big hot spot for UFO activities. The locals catch things over the mountain all the time. It was a 4-kilometer hike in to get to the top. When we got in there, it was quite unusual because it had an unusual silence about it. And the trees, of course, are all bent out of shape. And, that's what it's known for, all these crooked, crazy, gnarled trees. And we noticed that there were insects, there was greenery, but there were no animals. Not that they went further in, but because we had lunch in and around there before, just going in and checking everything out. And there were no birds. We couldn't hear birds. We didn't see little chipmunks or things like that running around. There wasn't anything like that at all. And there was this crazy humming sound, like a droning, it was sort of sounded like a, and I'm thinking, that a freaking portal. Just scared. Asking for a friend. Is that a porno?
That's a giant one.
Yeah, because you don't want to get sucked into it, So it was really weird. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to have a nap in the circle and I'm going to see if I can pick anything up, because your subconscious relaxes and there was just stuff circling nonstop the whole time you're trying to sleep. So after about an hour, I'm like, I'm wide awake. It was an interesting experience. And when we headed out, there was definitely something following us back. You could hear it on the trail behind us. I don't think you would be disappointed if you went in. If you were, I'd be shocked because I have known people who have gone there who have said like it just start to finish. It just didn't stop.
Just don't go in there by yourself, Rick.
I would.
Don't go in there by yourself. I know you would. I just said
I'll
don't
go anywhere, any haunted place. I'll go by myself. I'll stay overnight. I would rather have people go with me, but everybody's too scared to go in. I'll go.
Oh, no.
Michelle will go with you. She's not scared.
I'll go with you.
Oh,
and you know what?
It's good.
It's actually not, I'm braver than you. I just want to know. I come out to ghost hunt. If I'm at a place and you don't want to go in, I'm going in. That's why I came here.
It's a very unusual place. I think you don't want to read up on it too much. I didn't want to know much about it when I went because it made it that much more interesting. Like there's 6 ways in to this circle and there are trails that go through all of them. And some of them are marked, some are not. I remember at one point sitting up after, just catching my bearings after I had my little nappies. And there was a cart, an old cart and horse with a man in it just going across. And I'm like, but he looked like, it's very difficult because he looked like he was out of time, like his different time period. But many parts of Romania, you are stepping back in time and in real time. That's just how they are. It's very, very like time has stand still there. But he was just kind of looking at me strangely. I'm looking at him as I go and run up to that thing and poke him or something because I was sure like something just didn't feel right. And as I looked down the trail, it was just gone. I thought it was just going to go down the trail and it's just gone.
That is one to remember. I'll tell you.
It was different, but I'm like, for real? It's like, because it's like, it's like 4 or 5 in the afternoon and it's bright out. You just don't expect to see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just bizarre. But I mean, there was a shepherd, an entire herd of sheep that disappeared up there. There's a little girl who disappeared up there.
I want to go.
I know it's like a Disneyland for paranormal researchers. It is. But when this little girl disappeared, she was 5 years old and she came back 5 years later.
Great.
She was still 5 and she was like,
I was being sarcastic.
No, don't be sarcastic. It was a thing that happened. She came back. It wasn't right.
That was the same girl and everything else.
I knew it was the same girl. She came back to the village. It was just like,
but Rick's got a point. She could be cloned.
She wasn't right. Maybe it was somebody else. Yeah, like a clone or something. I don't know, but she didn't have her faculties when she came back, and she had her same clothing and this manky little doll. Like it's just something right out of a wiggy horror movie, Like so.
Well, that sounds like Travis Walton.
Yes, but 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, he came back 5 days later.
5 days. Yeah,
and he didn't really. He was kind of discombobulated and his.
But he was functional in society. Like this little girl apparently just wasn't. She didn't have her faculties at all.
Yeah.
Like,
usually when you have loss of time, isn't that ET though?
Well, yes, but it is considered the Bermuda Triangle. So was it a vortex? Was it I don't think the natural vortices go through Romania, but could have been like a portal. It's under a no-fly zone. We found out afterwards, and yet you could see the airport way off in the distance. You can see the planes going around.
Yeah, they're not
over this mountain. No.
Are you guys familiar with the David Oman house?
No.
David Oman's house is up in the Hollywood Hills, and it's right next to where Sharon Tate and everybody was killed by the man.
Yes, I know it. Yes.
And I've been up there many, many times and have gotten some really good video.
Right.
But it's just so strange. When I first went in there, and this is the very first time I was there, he took me and a couple of us, and we walked around the corner, and we walked down this little hallway towards the bathroom, and I stopped just before the bathroom, and I went, there's something like a portal right here, right? And he goes, well, actually, James Von Prague said it's in the bathroom. I said, well, he came so close. It's right here. Right? And my one friend goes out and he takes a picture right here of where all the little statues fall over by the aquarium. Perfect picture. He goes over here towards the hallway, orange, completely orange. Takes another picture of the kitchen, completely perfect. The only place that was all completely oranged out was where I told him there was a vortex.
Wow. That's interesting, eh? So, so has anybody captured one of the people who passed in the murders? Like, capture me with respect to EVPs. I don't mean like for real. And has anybody moved them on?
Quite a few.
Right.
There's been quite a few actually have done it. I personally haven't.
Well, right?
Yeah, I have gotten a lot of video stuff from them, and not much EVP stuff. I've had other strange things happen. Like I was inside, and his house is built on a hill, and on the side of his house, he's got like a 3-story, stairway, and it's the cement planks, so you can see underneath them. And we heard a lot of noise out there. So me and one of my guys, Robert, went outside, and Robert goes down to see if anybody went around the bottom. And I'm standing there and I'm waiting for him to come back up, and I hear somebody walking down the stairs because there's all these leaves out there, and you hear crunch, crunch. And I hear it going crunch, 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 coming right down the stairs at me. And it stopped on the stair right above me. And I went, hello, right? And I hear Robert start laughing, right? And I said, what's the matter? He goes, I heard it come down to you. I want to see what you're going to do. What else am I going to do? I got to say hi. No, I didn't say hello. I said hi. Hi.
Right.
But there's many things.
It's an active area.
Yeah,
but the house now is long gone. Like everything's been developed there, right?
Yeah, they actually bulldozed that down, and his house. His house, when they bulldozed it down, was the one being built. So some people seem to think that they said, "Well, let's go over there,"
Yeah. So is there nothing on that land anymore now? It's
there's another whole big complex kind of they set up.
There's a lot of them, and they all have activity around there. A lot of the big shows have been there. They're hilarious. Some of them I was laughing because I won't say what show. It was really funny. It wasn't, I'm not mocking the show, but two of the investigators panicked, and what they found out it was the ice machine on the fridge. So, but it was the Omen house, and they did get Sharon's voice. They had a female voice. They're saying it's Sharon, but it really did sound like it would have came from her, what was being said.
We did
but then again, like, you just don't know with television shows. You just don't know.
Absolutely. I can vouch for Ghost Adventures on the one we did, because Kane and I are very protective of our reputations. And we watched them like hawks, and they didn't do anything above board, below board. Everything was exactly as it seemed. So I would vouch for them on that one, because I was there. But there's so many things that have happened to me in my life. A lot of them are in the book that are just bizarre, that I can't say anything. I wanted to pay back Scottish Paranormal, Premier Paranormal, and Anubis from England, because they'd all invited me to go ghost hunting with them. Well, I was lucky enough that a friend of mine was the manager of the Real Mary King's Close, which is one of the most haunted places. They say it may be the most haunted place in Scotland.
Wow.
And if you've never seen it or heard about it, it's actually, you go down this long kind of tunnel almost, and it's like an underground, like a city block underground. And we're in the caves and everything else. There's one little room that's a shrine to a little girl who died down there named Annie. And all people put coins, and they bring little toys and stuffed animals for her. And what I wanted to do is I invited several people from each of these things, from each of these groups. And I had 3 from Anubis, 2 each from Premier Paranormal, and 2 from Scottish Paranormal. And when we got there, I said, look, here's what's going to happen tonight. Tonight is a para-unity hunt.
Nice.
And they said, okay, what are we going to do? I said, none of you are going to ghost hunt with people in your own group. So everybody had to have new people. And I do recall, and this was kind of interesting because it was all new people. And one of the assistant managers was also with us, a lady, very nice lady named Kat. And we had just come out of Annie's place, and I'm standing there, and I'm hearing something very distinct. But I'm not going to say anything about it. I'm just kind of glancing around at him, and then I start seeing him go, so I know they're hearing something. So finally I looked over and said, you guys hearing something? They said, yeah. I said, so am I. So what are you hearing? And like a group, they went, it sounds like a heartbeat. And I went, it really does, right? So I asked Craig and Kat, who's in there all the time. I said, Kat, is there anything that could cause this sound? She goes, nope. So that was very weird.
Wow.
Not even plumbing would cause that sound, right?
Yeah. Like, did anybody take a stab at it? Was it?
Yeah, we were all trying to figure it out. We asked Craig, the manager. We asked Kat. We were saying, could it be trucks going up above? They said, you're 30 feet below ground. You don't hear anything from up there. So it was just something really weird. I mean, but
it's a fantastic location. Like, it's just.
It really is. As a matter of fact, the guys from Scottish Paranormal said this is the most active place they've ever been. So it was a pretty good ghost hunt.
Yeah,
but
I believe it.
See, I
will tell you
that it was Edinburgh. Oh, just 1 second. My laptop is dying. I'll be right back. You guys keep talking. I just have to plug in or I'm going to turn off.
Well, we don't want you to turn off. I have enough girls turn off on me already.
Hurry up, Bubbles. Quit slacking.
No, but I want to tell you this story. The people from the girl that runs Anubis, which is in England, Mandy Fellows, she's a medium and very well-known ghost hunter over there. And they took me to a place called Bolton Abbey, which was stupid haunted. I've never seen anything like that in my life. But before that, we went to Norwich Theater. And we'd been going, people were getting things, saying this was happening. I wasn't getting anything. I was like the odd man out. And finally, we went downstairs underneath the stage of the theater. And in the middle of the room, there's this pipe about this big that went across the room to keep you from going on the other side, where there was like the pulleys and everything for the stuff upstairs, and there was an electrical panel. And they said, nobody go on that side. Okay, so I'm right up against the thing, right? I'm as far as you can go, and I'm looking around. And I'm looking back at the crew, and I turn around, and there's a guy on this side, and he's got his hand down. It looks like he's looking at something. And I figure it's one of our guys looking at his phone or looking at a K2 meter or something like that. So I looked back to see who it could be, because it was just in silhouette, because it was darker over there. But I mean, it was very obviously a man, and it was I could have reached out and tapped him on the head. It was that close.
Wow.
And I turned around and looked, and Mandy is like, I said, what? She goes, you saw him too, didn't you? And I went, yeah, I did. Right. So a little full body apparition within arm's length is kind of unusual.
It doesn't happen often, even without arm's length. Like, it's
I mean, it was, but it was so funny because she's very, very well respected ghost hunter. She goes, you saw it too, didn't you? And I went, yeah, I did. I
have to ask you, one of the popular sites, of course, in Scotland is Culloden. The Battle of Culloden. Culloden. Have you investigated it there, the battlefield?
I have not had that. I've done a battlefield, but it wasn't that one.
Right.
There's actually even a better battle. It's the most bloody battle in Scottish history. And it's right next to Roslin Chapel. It's about a mile down the road. And
really?
It's called the Battle of Roslin, 1303.
Wow, 1303.
Yeah, so I went down there to see, I was going to go at night and go out into the fields and see what I could get with the thermal imager and stuff. So I went into the forest, and going over a hill, there was some dry dirt with mud under it, and my foot slipped out, and my other leg went underneath me, and I just exploded my knee. So I slid down the hill all in mud, grabbed my leg from behind me and put it in front of me and sat there for like 5 minutes. My leg is spasming and everything else. I'm like, okay, stupid. Now what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? So I get up and I turn around. And I said, I can't walk, because actually I need a knee replacement after what happened. right? And I got up and I'm standing there and I go, there's no way I can get up that hill. It's muddy and I can't barely walk. So I turned around and I looked and there was a long road that went out and it was covered in mud. But I said, well, I got to go on the flat surface. So I walked 2.5 miles out of the place, you know.
Right.
And the guy that ran that farm actually picked me up and drove me back to Roslyn Inn where I was staying. But he and I became friends. And I said, next time I come back, we're going to ghost hunt your place, because he's telling me how much he liked it. So he and I went out there and ghost hunted. Now, they seem to think that 35,000 people died in these fields in this fight. Right?
Wow.
This was an amazingly bloody battle. And a matter of fact, one of the most famous people in Scottish history, William Wallace, was at that battle.
Yes.
Matter of fact, the cave that he used to hide in Roslyn Forest, I've been in. And very few people get to go in there. So I felt very lucky about that. But I've been in the cave where he used to hide from the English that were chasing him. But we went out there, and we were out there for about 3 hours, and it was spectacular. We're in these long, long fields, and there were some like barns and things like that. And then the moon rose, you know, a full moon rose up, and we could see, you know, the light of the moon and everything else. Well, nothing on the K2, nothing on the infrared, nothing on anything, no sounds, nothing. And it was probably one of the most satisfying ghost hunts I've ever been on, because no, I turned to the guy and he goes, well, we didn't get anything. I said, yeah, but that makes me happy. And he goes, why? I said, that tells me those 35,000 people are where they're supposed to be.
That's true.
And when I wrote about the book, I wrote in there, I said, you'd think most people would be disappointed, but I wasn't. I said, all I can say about this is rest in peace, gentlemen. But
what are the chances of that? I mean, this is, you know, it sure throws a little bit of a question mark when it comes to dying tragically or violently, being stuck. You know, this is
you would think that for 800 years ago, or not 800, 700 years ago,
right?
That, you know, gives you plenty of time to move on.
One would think, but if the theory is correct, let's say where, you know, if you do die suddenly, tragically, that sometimes you just sort of get bounced out of your body. What do you think of that theory? Like, you don't realize that you passed on because you've kind of just been shoved out. The body's just instantly.
Well, I believe that happens. I do. But I also believe too that, you know, other people can help you along. Other spirits can help you along.
Yeah.
You know, I actually do believe that, and I've seen it. So I know when people are about ready to pass away, that other family members come to them.
That's correct. Yeah.
And I've been sitting there twice when it's happened. So, I mean, with my mom and my dad. So, so I believe that if there was a spirit that was really lost there, eventually somebody would come to retrieve them, you know. From that amount of time, 700 years, I mean, somebody would have finally said, we got to go get Bob, you know?
Yeah, like, where's Bob? It's been a while. I think we've got to go find them.
We need a fifth for Pinochle. Come on, where's Bob?
That's right. Where is he?
But it's obvious that people do get lost and they stay behind. And I think a lot of them do it because they don't know they passed.
Or maybe they're just afraid of, I think religion just embeds it into judgment. You know, what have you done? They instill the fear of God into you for coveting your neighbor's wife, for God's sake, let alone battle, war, murder.
Well, if that keeps you out, man, I am in deep duty.
I know. Uh-oh. Okay. Atonement.
I never did anything about it. I just coveted.
Just coveted. Yeah, that's right.
I only coveted. I didn't do anything about it.
Innocent coveting. That's all. So, yes. There was a friend of ours who just passed recently in a tragic car accident, and she was a passenger, and her family came for her immediately, whereas the driver of the car, who was the cause of this entire accident, it was a horrific accident, she basically missed the boat on the relative coming for her. She just refused to go with him. Maybe she didn't recognize him because she was young. Her parents were young. Maybe she didn't recognize. I think it ended up being a great grandfather. But it goes to show that sometimes they try to bring them. They try to grab them and it just doesn't get acknowledged. Are you okay? I was wondering what all that fumbling was about. Okay. Can you hear?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have my mic on. I have
okay.
The mic.
Well, you're back though. That's good.
My laptop
well, I can hear you.
died. The plug pulled, and I didn't notice it was at 100% when I started, and it just died. So, yeah, crazy.
It's my fault.
It's your fault?
Yeah, stuff dies. Whenever I'm around, stuff dies all the time. Lights go off. I mean, it's weird.
You? But I do that. I destroy electronics, like even toaster ovens. They're gone before a year with me. I don't know what it is. I have no clue. But I'm going to turn this around, so I'm a little bit okay.
You got some nice things there, Amelia, and I like Michelle's too. I mean, Michelle looks like how I would decorate my place.
My whole house is like this.
No, that's her whole house. This is just my office. Nobody comes in here.
Yeah, this is the whole house. This is
this is actually my bedroom, and nobody comes in here either. So,
you hear that, ladies?
Actually, I have to tell you. Go ahead, Amelia.
No, you're so out of it. I mean, your friends say it. They say women will hit on Rick, and he doesn't. It goes right over his head. So
there is a chapter in the book, and the title of the thing is "When it comes to women, I'm the dumbest man in America." And
no, it's
actually true. I actually, the first line in that thing is, I could have a girl give me a kidney and buy me a Cadillac, and I'd ask my friends, "Do you think she likes me?" You know, I'm a bonehead. Let's just put it that way.
That's okay. It's not a bad trait.
You know, try to get my earbud in. Yeah.
The earbuds are yeah.
I just have to get accepted on the phone, but I can hear you guys, so don't.
Okay.
But one of these days, we're going to have to ghost hunt together.
That would be fun.
Would be fun. Not Romania.
Why not Romania? Romania is always fun. Everything's good in Romania.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could be anywhere. I remember I was at a beautiful villa at the base, very close to Bran Castle, and I was woken up in the morning at some ungodly hour. I think it was like 6:30 in the morning, and right in my ear it was a like this. I'm like, I'm okay. What the hell was that? And I look over at my girlfriend who was sleeping in the other bed, and I'm like, Melissa, what's wrong with you? She was out cold, and she sleeps like a bloody rock. She can sleep anywhere, that girl. And I'm just going, holy shit. And it was just like, first off, how do you know me? And who the hell are you? It was very strange. It's all that happened at that villa.
Happens.
Yeah.
It happened.
It was weird. It was weird.
Can I tell you a story that's really weird?
Yeah, I like weird.
My dad and I did not get along.
Right.
You know, for like 5, 6, 7 years, we did not get along. And I mean, no contact. I didn't want to talk to him. He didn't want to talk to me. And my bedroom in Chicago, seriously, when I put my feet out, my hands over, that was the length of it. And I could actually go like this and touch both walls.
Wow.
It was that small. And one day my mother was going to the flea market. She goes, "Is there anything you want?" I said, "Can you get me a small pillow so I got something to wrap my arms around?" Because they kept flopping off the edge of the bed, right? Because I had just a standard size bed. So for some reason, she brings me a round red satin pillow. Do I look like a satin pillow kind of guy? No. But it was cheap, and actually, it was a pretty good hugging pillow. So
right.
But all of a sudden, I'd be sleeping there, and I would go instantly awake. I mean, full awake, totally aware that someone was standing next to my bed, and I thought, it's a burglar. I mean, the feeling was so intense, right? And then it would eventually go away, right? And it happened over and over and over again for like 2 weeks, right?
Wanted their pillow back.
Well, no, it was. But my friend Tom and my dad called me, asked me, says, we need to work this out. So come down to Texas to my place and hang out for a little bit. I said, all right. Nice. So I got my friend Tom to go with me, right? Now my friend Tom actually used to come over to my house our house all the time, and he helped me put a lot of my furniture in my bedroom, my little what furniture I had. And he used to tease me all the time about my red satin pillow.
I'm turning it around.
Turn the beat around. But he used to tease me about this pillow.
Right.
So I got there and I see my dad, and we're sitting there that night. And he goes, I always felt bad about not seeing you. He says, and then I started seeing you in your bed when you were sleeping. He said, I'd be standing there looking down at you. And I went, and I looked at Tom, and Tom kind of looked at me, and he said, how long has this been happening? He says, last couple of weeks. He says, and I just see you. And I said, okay. Now, he's never been to my house. I've never told him what my room looked like. So I said, this is also in the book, by the way. I asked him, I said, what's my bedroom look like? And he says, well, it looks like it's probably a closet. It's so small, right? Okay, that's right. And I said, what else? And he goes, well, it's really strange. When I see you, you're usually hugging this round red satin pillow.
That's a good one right there.
Tom's jaw dropped, my jaw dropped, right? And I was like, holy. Ever since he told me that, well, he passed away 25 years ago.
Wow.
Never had that happen again.
Wow.
But it was so weird that he had to have been there. There's no way anybody's going to guess I got a red satin pillow.
There's no way he could know. That's a very unusual thing. The satin pillow to me is like the giveaway for sure. So that's
you could guess I had a small bedroom. You could guess that.
Yes, exactly. But the pillow, you don't get big burly guys with satin pillows.
Well, unless it's Saturday, then it's okay.
What? Rick's like 5'7", 5'8".
Still, it's a small satin pillow. And he's cuddling it.
I'm not 5'8". I'm 6'4". What are you saying? 6'4", 240 pounds of solid steel.
There we go. Yeah. Give me my satin pillow.
With a little red satin pillow.
Right?
Yeah, I want my pillow.
Give me my satin pillow.
But maybe me and my dad didn't get along too much. After that, we became really good friends. But after he died, he did save me. And there's no question, he saved my life.
Yes.
I was driving back to Nashville, and I had my 4Runner. And those big gas trucks with the double tankers? There's one on the side of me, and they were doing some construction work on the freeway, and they had the big cement barriers. So I'm going down, getting ready to go next, past this double trailer, and down the open speed lane that's got the cement barriers on the other side. And just as I start to get there, my car brakes. I'm going like 75. The brakes slam on themselves, right? And I start fishtailing, and I'm trying not to get dead, right? And I finally pull it this way, to keep from hitting the cement barriers. And the trailer truck sped over, went bam off the two cement things.
Wow.
And if I had been in there, it would have killed me. No doubt.
Wow.
And when I finally got past the truck, everything loosened up and I could drive. And I used to tease my dad. This is in the book too. God, it sounds like I'm hawking the book, but it's not. But it's in the book.
No. Go ahead.
But I used to call my dad the French whore sometimes, right?
There we go.
Because my dad used to wear so much Aramis that when he came out of his bedroom in the back, which was, he had a pretty big house, I could smell him coming out of the bedroom. Here comes the French whore. Right?
Should have gave him the satin pillow.
Exactly. But here's
to begin with.
Here's the big finale. After I had the car back, I started going down, and the smell inside my car filled up the smell of Aramis.
Oh, see, that's the sign right there. They give you those little validation points, so you know exactly.
So I threw him a little thank you and a thumbs up. Way to go, Pop.
Yeah, I think that's great, though. That's great.
Nice.
It goes to show you, people. It's difficult when you lose somebody because people can't. I mean, they grieve the physical. Like you miss the companionship of having to physically see somebody because we live in a really physical place. It's very hard to imagine that they're still very much a part of our lives, just on a different level. So I love hearing stories like this because it just shows you they're there, they're paying attention, they're intervening, and they're not missing anything.
Yeah, it's like I said, I've had so many weird things happen. And I do thank you for holding up the book, by the way, Amelia.
Are you kidding
if people
me?
read the book, they're going to
You?
find out a lot of stuff that they never thought of. I mean, they never thought of. I mean, I've been so lucky that, like in the space of a month when I was 13, I saved my little brother's life and my dad's life at 2 different times. And I don't know why, but my dad actually almost shot himself in the head because he was mad. He and I had gone out hunting, and our hunting was not exactly other people's hunting. We would go up and we'd wait till we see something, and then when it left, we'd shoot at rocks and trees and stuff, But we came back down, and my little brother was about a year old, and my dad shows me outside. He goes, "This is how you make sure the rifle's clear, right?" And he said, "Nothing in there," and he closes it. So we go inside, and my brother's mother come up, my stepmother, and she starts screaming bloody murder at him. "How can you bring a rifle in here with the baby?" And he goes, "Rifle's always in here with the baby. It's up on the high shelf. He can't get to it. It's unloaded," right? And she goes, "I know." And he goes, "It's unloaded." And he pulled the bolt back, and he went, and he took the gun, and he stuck it right here under his eyelid, up into his eye. And I was standing there, and I saw his finger go in the trigger, and he went like this, and something in me just yelled no. Now, whether it was me thinking it or something else told me, but I grabbed the gun and I pulled it, and I only got it about this far, and the gun went off and went right into the ceiling.
Oh my God.
Wow. Wow.
And the other one with my little brother, my stepmother was a really good swimmer, and we had a pond out in front of our house. This was in Oregon, and it was about 30 to 40 yards to the raft. So she decides she's going to bring my little brother Cash, and he's like maybe a year and a half, 2 years old, something like that. And she's swimming with him. She was a real good swimmer. But unfortunately for her, there were 2 dogs, Major and Baron, who were part Great Dane and part German Shepherd. And they decided they wanted to go swimming too. And they got about halfway there and realized that they weren't very good swimmers. So they went to the closest landmass, which happened to be her.
Oh,
and
wow.
They're hitting at her and trying to use her as a thing. And she's trying to swim with one arm and hold on to my brother. And one of the dogs hits Cash and he goes under. Right? Now I'm up on the raft. Like I said, I'm about 13 years old. And I see him go under and I go, "Ugh!" Right? And I dive in. Now to find him in the dark water in this thing is hard, So I took off and I was swimming as faster than I can. I'm really going to town. I look like Aquaman because I figure he's going to die, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this the entire life. And I don't know who interceded or anything, but I was coming down. And as I was coming down, I went to the exact spot he was at, right? Which was a miracle at first. But what was so funny, he was sitting on the bottom like Buddha, with his legs out in the classic
because
Buddha.
babies can breathe underwater for a little bit.
Well,
they can hold their breath, like they do really well.
Yeah. Well, he had on a diaper or white shorts, but it was white. And I looked down, and it was amazing. I'm swimming towards him, and he looks up and he sees me, and he goes,
"Aww."
So I grabbed. I'll never forget that. He was the chilliest little kid. "Baby down."
Right.
What were these little hands going?
Yeah, come get
That's my brother. Hey.
Oh my gosh.
So like I said, in the course of a couple of weeks, I've saved 2 people's lives. So
yeah, that's a mega intervention there. And then you wonder, well, maybe you don't wonder why you were drawn to the paranormal. You say you have always sort of gravitated towards it, and you've been doing it since the age of 13. What just makes somebody curious about it? I would say that could be a good start.
well, I was drawn into it. I mean, when my grandfather died, he shot himself in the head cleaning his gun. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's sad. Yeah.
Have you ever seen him in spirit, or like was he stuck? Did he
No. Actually, this was in Chicago, and I didn't really know him. I'd only known him for like 2 weeks.
Wow.
And he wanted to be buried in Paducah, Kentucky. So my mom had very little money. So we went on the train, and he was on the train, to go get buried. And when we got down to Paducah, Kentucky, we found out that his name wasn't Joe Kelly. His last name was actually Volholius, and he was 100% Greek. We always thought he was Irish. But anyway, my mother says, "Well, let's find a place to stay," because, we had to go put him on and go. So we didn't have a car. We didn't have much money. So we walked to the very first place that we could. And it was a 2-story brick place, not in the best part of town. And my mother walks in and she goes, do you have any rooms? And he goes, yeah. And she goes, well, how much are they? And it turned out it was pretty cheap. And she goes, well, can we get the room? And the guy says, there's only one left. So she goes, well, that's okay. And he goes, well, I have to tell you, it's haunted. Now, I'm maybe a little older, maybe 14. And no, I was 13. This is before I went back to my dad's. And I'm looking and I'm like, really? 13? I'm like, it's like the golden ticket to Disneyland.
Don't look too excited. Don't look too excited.
Yeah. We go up there, and it's the weirdest room. It's a big rectangle, and it looks like a volleyball court because it's got the same kind of wooden floors, and the beds had rollers on them. And one bed was way in the one corner, one was on the other side. And it was about 25 feet to the middle. Big, right? Big room. And it had neon coming in the windows. I mean, it was, if you're doing a horror movie, this was the place you wanted to do it. Alfred Hitchcock would have used this as a location, this room. But we were both tired from traveling and everything else. We both went to sleep. And all of a sudden, I hear my mother scream. So I wake up and I turn around and look, and here's her bed, coming across the room at me. Right. So I'm looking at her, and suddenly I realize my bed is going across the room, and we met in the middle. Like, bam! And we just sat there and looked at each other. Right. And probably 10 seconds just looking at each other. And she looks at me and she goes, I think the guy downstairs is right. Right. So my mother was very, very smart. And we actually went about trying to debunk this long before there was any TV shows talking about debunking. We took a glass and laid it on the ground in the corner to see if it rolled, see if the floors were warped. Right. So then we thought, well, maybe a truck went by and the vibrations made the things roll. Well, we already knew the floor wasn't warped, so that wasn't going to work. But I decided that I would get behind the thing and push and see how far I could go. I got it about 4 feet. And that was shoving it as hard as I could. So these things went bam into each other. So after that, I was hooked.
Yeah, I guess so.
You got me.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, reel me in.
Did you ever find out? Did you ever get the backstory behind the spirit that was there?
No, actually, we didn't because we had to get out to the funeral right away. But I have tried so hard to find the name of that place, and I think it's gone because I've tried a lot. I've talked to people in the town. I described it. I saw one place that I swear, I saw it online. I said, "This is it," because they had the kind of floor and this kind of windows. Yeah. And I asked, I said, this would have been about 1967, right? And they said, no, this wasn't here in 1967. So,
wow,
don't know where it was, but
yeah, that would be cool if you could find it and go back and because now you're seasoned, you could get all the answers. Yeah,
but I will tell you something. When people always ask me, where do you think you get this thing about the spirits? Well, my dad at his house in Texas, in the book, it's called The Most Haunted House in America, and it's not even close. And it's not. And everybody's got their own. Like my stepmother tells what happened. My brother tells what happened. Very, very haunted house. I mean, every day something big was happening. But my dad always said, he says, I've always seen spirits. Well, my dad didn't much care, but my mother hated my father. Right? Just absolutely with a passion, hated my dad. And when she was getting ready to pass on, I went back and took care of her. And she would sit in this recliner and she could see all the way down to the back door, which was probably maybe 20 yards away, right? Goes through the kitchen, the back door. And she's sitting there and she goes, oh, my Indian is back. I looked at her and I said, what? She goes, my Indian is back. I said, what Indian? She goes, oh, I see an Indian down at the door all the time. I said, and you didn't tell me this, right? And she goes,
holding out, Mom.
Yeah, she goes like this. She goes, no, I know he's just here. He's watching out for me. I said, so you're actually seeing a spirit? And she just kind of smiled and she turned and looked at me. She goes, I've seen spirits all my life. And she never said a word to me the whole time.
Wow. Don't you love when parents do that?
Said anything.
They you make you feel like you're a little bit like you're the only one. And then you find out when you're an adult, oh, we could always do that. Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Both of them did.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to relay a story to you, though, just because it's so cool.
Yes,
please.
Please.
If you don't mind me throwing it in.
Oh, no. Feel free.
I have these things that happen to me some days, and I don't know if it's just imagination or what, but it's these things come to me and they're so real. I was actually in my living room there, and for some reason, all of a sudden, I had like a vision of a dark tunnel, right? And I figured, oh crap, I just died, right? That's the first thing you think of. I'm in a dark tunnel, right? And I look and I see a little spot of light way at the end. I said, well, this is the tunnel of death. I'm supposed to go that way, but I don't want to go. I'm scared, right? And I was terrified. And finally, I started walking, and the light was getting bigger, and I'm still scared. And I get probably about 40 yards away, and I can see transparent shapes. It's like there's a wax paper over it, and I can see shapes moving behind it. I'm really scared. I don't want to go. I'm just going to stand here, and I'm not going anywhere. And I feel something hit me in the butt, bump into me, and something bumps into me from the other side in the butt. And then I start feeling other things hitting me in the legs and hit me in the butt. I mean, the things that they're knocking me forward, right? Now I'm really scared. What is this grabbing at me? Is it going to drag me under? Am I done? Right? I'm just
going down. Yeah.
As I started moving forward to get away from the things that were bumping me. And as I finally got about 10 yards away, it was much brighter in there. And I looked down, and it was all my pets who had passed away.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting.
I had 2 Great Danes, and I had some big dogs, and then I had other little ones, and they were all pushing me towards the light. So there was a guy whose dog died at where I go to get my sandwich, and he was really upset. I said, can I tell you a story? And I told him the story, and he about broke out into tears. He goes, did that really happen? I said, yeah, it really did. He goes, do you think that pets really go? I said, showed it to me for some reason.
I agree with you.
I believe
my little hairy buddies pushing me along. Right?
Yeah, they're trying to make sure you get to where you're supposed to go. What are we doing?
I hate this iPhone thing. I hate the iPhone. I can't see anything because I'm this big. Like all of us are like this big on my phone, so I can't see if I'm.
Oh, you should get your iPad out. It would be a little bigger.
Well, you already said I was 5'7".
I would have had to turn it on. It would have taken longer. You're only 5'7". You're only a couple inches taller than me. Well, 3. That's all.
I'm actually only a foot taller than you.
Nobody knows.
I don't know what she just said there, but I'm afraid to find out.
She goes, nobody knows.
No one knows how short I am.
They do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do now. Yes. Yes.
I'm just listening.
5'4".
Only a couple of people
I'm
listening.
just about 5'4". Almost. No.
Well, my last official girlfriend was
5'10" with them. I'm good.
No, my last official girlfriend, which was 25 years ago, was 5'1". And the first time we went walking down the street, I thought I'd be kind of romantic and throw my arm around her, and I whiffed.
And you missed.
I got no girl whatsoever. I went right over the top of her head.
That's I'm sure that went well.
6-inch heels, you'd miss her. It wouldn't matter.
Well, I was trying to be cool. I was kind of doing the old, I'll just
being
throw the
suave.
old.
Yeah, suave didn't work.
It's like
and I whiffed.
Backfire suave.
I'm a little bit taller than 5'1", just a little bit.
Well, she was cool because I could put her in my back pocket. We could walk around. She was tiny.
Oh, that's not
Put her
right.
in a backpack. Take her ghost hunting.
Where are we, Dora? I
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the private residence. How did you do private residence? You do assist if someone calls you. I'm right. Yes?
Yeah, actually,
okay.
I have a story in the book, but the pictures aren't in it because the pictures are not near as good unless they're in color. So I had this lady call me up and say, can you please come help me? And I said, where are you? And she turned out to be, maybe 10 miles from me. I said, sure, I'll come help. So I get over there, and she's African-American lady, right, about 60, super bubbly, all personality, right, the kind that belonged on a sitcom. I mean, just super nice. And I go all through. I had another guy with me. I go all through her place. She had a loft. I go up through there, and I'm going through everywhere. I'm not getting any feeling of anything there. Nothing's going off. And after about a half an hour, I came down, and I said, God, I can't remember her name right now. But anyway, I told her, I said, I don't think your place is haunted. And she goes, oh, I don't either. And I'm like, what am I doing here? I didn't say that. It's just like.
That's funny.
And she goes, no, I think I have an attachment.
Oh.
Now, I didn't know how to quantify an attachment. I know signs of an attachment and things like that, but I can't say positively there's an attachment. And it dawned on me what she really wanted was to feel safe and feel better. Right. So I said, okay. And I took my K2 meter. And I said, all right, I'm going to make her feel better. And I put it in front of her, and it didn't go off at all. I said, see, there's no energy here. I said, let me get my night vision camera. And I filmed her, and there was nothing there. So I said, wait a minute. Let me take it. And I had an adapter for my Android phone that would do thermal. So I said, let me try this. And I picked it up, and I went, uh-oh. Right. So I took a picture, and in the picture, there's a spot almost the size of a football right in her stomach, and it's black. Right. She's all orange and everything else. So I told her, I said, do you have something on underneath your sweater? She said, no. I said, do you have something cold, by your stomach? Were you eating ice cream or something? No. I said, do you have a belt? No. I said, well, I'm picking up a real cold spot on you. I said, my first suggestion to you is call your doctor. You might have a blockage of some sort. Right. So I said, can you do me a favor? Can you go up and walk up and down the stairs so I can watch and see if that's a camera anomaly? So she goes up and she walks down the stairs, and it's in the same place. So now I'm like, okay, something's up, right? So I told her, I said, well, it looks like you might have an attachment, right? And I showed her the two pictures, and I saw something, the first picture, and I didn't tell her, right? And I said, yeah, you might. She goes, well, how do I get rid of it? I said, well, it's your body. Throw it out. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, just tell it to leave in no uncertain terms. And she says, well, should I get angry? And I said, yes. And she goes, well, how mad should I get? I said, suppose you just walked in on your boyfriend fooling around with your sister. Right? And she goes, that mad? I said, and then some. So bless this lady's heart. I mean, she went for it. And I wish I had filmed it, because she takes her little fists and she throws them over her head, and she goes, the power of God commands you. Get out, get out. I almost left. She was so sincere. But anyway, after she's done, I let her calm down for a couple of minutes, and I took a picture, and the spot is gone.
Wow.
Really?
Mindset, right? Mindset, control, be empowered.
But here's a real strange thing that I didn't show.
Absolutely.
And most people don't notice it till I show them. And then when I show them, they just go, oh my God. In the first one, there's a dark spirit standing behind her. I mean, right behind her. You can just see a part of her sticking out behind her. And I thought it might be part of the thermal imager making a thing. But no, there's it's a little farther back, and it's not her hair. It's so
wow.
And I do have those pictures. They're very, very interesting.
And
Donna is the girl.
Still clear today.
She actually sent me another person to go over to, and I went to him, and he was a soldier, and he just come back, and he kept saying people were screaming at him through the walls and everything else. So I went all the way through with him, and finally I sat him down, and the other guy that was with me is sitting there, and I said, do you have PTSD? And he said, yeah. And I said, are you getting medication for it? And he said, yeah. And I said, I'm going to tell you straight out, because you deserve a straight answer. Call your doctor. Are you going to see him anytime soon? He goes, yeah, next week. I said, tell him what you're hearing. Tell him what's going on, because I've heard all kinds of horror stories about the medication they have causing hallucinations. So I said, tell him about that. And he says, are you sure? I said, well, all the hearing, the screaming and stuff you're talking about, I didn't hear any of it. Not even a single word. I said, and I don't want to sound like I'm being mean to you, because I'm not. I want you to get better. Right. And he was very appreciative. But about 2 months later, he calls me up and he goes, I saw my doctor. I said, yeah. And he says, he changed my medication. My neighbors are much better now.
There we go.
Oh my gosh.
But it's a good point, because sometimes it really is a natural cause.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. People like we're powerful beings as human beings. Our energy, we can project, we can do all kinds of things. And through my 18 years of doing this, I've had people who have been convinced that something has been in their space. And meanwhile, like I really believe in empowering people and educating people and working with their mindsets and helping them feel like not a hostage, but more like the warrior, the captor,
Exactly.
And I find it's easier for somebody to accept that I have a demon in the house or a malevolent spirit in the house that's causing all of this going on around me than it is for them to accept that they have something going on with them here and that it's making them project out, like, psychokinesis, telekinesis, things like that. They can't get their head around that. But yet it's so easy for them to get their head around something totally supernatural.
Well, it was funny when we got in the car to leave from the second guy that had PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
My friend looks at me, he goes, "How could you tell him that? How could you possibly tell him that?" And I looked at him, I said, "How could I possibly not tell him?"
Thank you. Yes. You're not doing him any service by not being honest.
He asked me to come. He asked for my opinion, and I told him exactly what I thought, hoping he'd get better. And luckily, it was right.
And he did. That's part of it. I think sometimes researchers go in because they so desperately want to find something that they sometimes, and I mean, there's a lot of good researchers out there. I'm not lumping everybody together. I'm just showing by some of the experiences some of my clients have had over the many years. They're so anxious to, let's just get, investigating and see if we can get that EVP or that photo, that they don't even ask, like, are you on any medications? Do you have any history maybe of some kind of maybe mental illness or depression or anxiety or something that, have you lost someone in your life recently? Are you grieving? Are you, is there something going on with you? Right? They just don't want to ask the hard questions. Maybe it's because they don't want to make it seem like they don't believe them, or I'm sure there's copious amounts of reasons as to why they're not asking for the logical. But I think you need to ask.
Well, I'm a big proponent of Occam's razor.
Right.
If you know what that is, that for the people who don't know out there that are listening, that's a principle that is the most likely answer is almost always right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big proponent in that. And if I go down like 2 or 3 things past the most likely, then I'm like, okay.
We're in trouble. Yeah.
We shall delve more into this now. All right, we're into it.
Yeah.
But I only go to private residences, by the way, Amelia, to help somebody. That's the only reason I go.
I know. I wanted you to get that out there because, and it was important because Michelle brought up the point that often people in teams will go there, and it's only been from experience of other clients that, and I don't even want to call them clients because they're families that we're helping, that people will go in for the wrong reasons and then leave them 10 times worse and in deep peril sometimes, so it's just unfair. And I think it's important to always get it out there with any guest that's an investigator.
Well, I can tell you honestly, I have never had a client because I don't charge anybody for anything.
Don't charge. I've never charged in 18 years.
So they're not clients. They're friends that need help.
Exactly. I hate calling them clients. It's not that,
Yeah.
It's just, it's horrible because they'll go in there and, provoke and do all the things that you shouldn't be doing. And I'm not even experienced in investigating. I'm a medium, but I haven't always worked in this field and in this part of the paranormal. And it just really irks me to see how much damage people do going in there. And there's, selfish reasons. I need to get the evidence. Well, what about the family?
But they leave the family
There's
behind.
children, there's pets that are affected,
Well,
if you have depression, you're going to create and amplify that depression in someone. You're leaving human beings. This is affecting a family. This isn't a TV show. It's not a story.
But that's the thing is, I think there are so many TV shows out there that are looking for stories that people go in to help families and realize, oh, it could be a potential story to get aired. I know, because I have tons of people that message me and say, can you get me on this show? Can you get me on this show? And I'm just like, oh my God, it's more and more of them. But it always has to be about the people. It can't be about researchers going to people saying, oh, you should be lucky. I'm here to help you. It should always be the other way around. I've always looked at people and said, thank you for trusting me. Thank you for entrusting your most precious life, your family, everything that's dear to you. Thank you for entrusting them to me. And let me take the weight for a while, And it's really what you're doing. You're taking the weight.
Well, you know what I say to them all the time when I get in there? First thing I go in there, I make friends with them. I don't go and say, hi, I'm here to rescue. Super Rick is here. I don't do that. But what I'll say, all right.
Where's my cape?
Well, by the way, I did have to wear one of those spandex suits for one of the video games. And I look like a sack full of doorknobs. I mean, it's not a... You're not going to see me wearing one of those anytime soon. But anyway, the last thing I always say before I start a hunt, I'll look over and I'd say, let's go see what we can find.
Yeah.
Not me. Let's go see what we can find.
Yeah.
Right? Make them a part of the process.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's important because you're giving them back control.
That's what I mean. I always want to say, we're going to do this together. Let's go.
Yes. Exactly. I've always done the same thing. I've always made people part of the solution because I get to go home. They get left behind. And I don't want to leave them behind in a mess. I don't want to leave them behind scared. I want to leave them behind feeling empowered that they're the ones in control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I go there to help. I don't go there to try and make, myself get a TV show because frankly, I've been offered TV shows, right? Matter of fact, April 3rd, I'm doing a live 2-hour ghost hunt that they're going to show on Facebook or YouTube or something. I don't know where it is.
Fantastic. Tell us about that before we have to sign off.
Well, no, it's down in a place called Copper Canyon Hospital in Ajo, Arizona.
Oh, Copper Canyon sounds serious.
Yeah, it's an old-time hospital and very small town.
Right.
And I got a call from this company, said, we want to have one person go ghost hunt. And I was like, okay. I said, it can get awfully quiet, one person, So I figure about halfway through, I'm going to have to start doing the John Travolta.
Three-man man.
Yeah.
There we go. I like that. I like where this is going.
Is that a stunt in your life? Yeah.
But it gives me an opportunity, though, because I've been to Tombstone before, and I'm actually doing, in October, I'm actually leading a 4-day tour to Tombstone.
Oh, wow. That would be a working place.
I'm going to go there for 2 days and hunt around and stuff. But the last time I was there, I wanted to ghost hunt the OK Corral. Yeah. Well, I have found out since I've been there, and I knew back then, but I didn't have enough equipment to really do it right. That most of the gunfight didn't happen in the gunfight at OK Corral. It actually happened right out on Fremont Street.
Yes, that's right.
And 2 of the people that died on Fremont Street. So I'm going to go out there. I'm going to set up 2 night vision cameras. I'm going to come with K2, and I'm going to have my thermal and just set it all up like at 2 in the morning and have at it. So,
wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Is October? Is that like an anniversary of?
No, that's just actually the company that had me as the ambassador for the 9-day tour in Scotland.
Yes,
which is next year.
Yes.
Wanted to do another tour with me, and they said, would you do Tombstone? I said, in a minute.
And they said,
well, we're going to have to figure out stuff about it. I said, well, no, you don't, because I already pretty much know all the people that do that because I've talked to all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've investigated the bird cage. I know the Watton Tarbell lady. She's a good friend of mine. Big Nose Kate's. The guy who wrote the book, The Ghosts of Tombstone, is a friend of mine. He used to be one of the recreators at the OK Corral. So, I mean, I do know the powers that you need to talk to over there to get the stuff you need. So,
right.
But that should be really interesting. I'm really looking forward to that. Really looking forward to going back to Scotland. Dang it.
Yeah. Aren't we all?
Well, why don't you guys go on my?
I haven't been.
Why don't you guys go on my tour?
Go back.
9 days, 3 days ghost hunting at famous locations.
If you are, I'm not going.
You're not going.
Not if you're there.
Wow, that's kind of hard.
That's a big ouch.
I'm kidding.
That was good.
Anything is possible.
Amelia, it's okay.
But you have to understand, Canada, we're a little bit behind with the whole thing. That's the whole world thing going on right now, and that's all I'm going to say about it. We're behind you guys. So it may take us a while to catch up to the travel.
Well, the same thing. Scotland is, and the UK is very strict about what's going on over there.
Yeah, exactly.
You think
and we're just behind
when you fly. Yeah, when you fly. Sorry, Michelle. When you fly back in to Ontario, Canada, have an approved hotel you have to stay at, and it's $2,000 for 3 days. And they feed you, but they bring you box lunches, and you have to stay in the room because that's your quarantine. So your trip isn't just costing you your money to go and you know your hotel overseas, but the $2,000 that it costs you to stay for those 3 days when you come back is literally a trip with a butler on a beach in the Caribbean.
It's a lot different for us here. Zach Man is leaving. Says, great show tonight. Thank you once again for joining us this evening. That's okay. Says, have a good night, everybody. See you all tomorrow night. You betcha, Zach Man. Come over because we've got Joe on tomorrow.
Good, Zach.
And Tom Rivers is here, Amelia. Hi, Tom. So yes, this is good. This is good, Tom. Yeah, hi, Tom. Yeah, so that's good. So we're So before we log off,
Tom also participated in the 6th. Yes,
that's right. So promote. Tell everybody where to find you. Tell everybody what you've got going up before we sign off. We want to tell everybody everything.
Well, the next thing I have is the thing on April 3rd. And if you go on to Facebook to my place, I've got Hollywood Ghost Hunters, Ghosts Believe in Me, and Hollywood Ghost Hunters Magazine, and Rick McCallum. That name right there.
Right there. Perfect.
And that's the book.
There we go. There it is.
By the way, that picture right there was taken at the Hellfire Club.
Very nice.
Yeah, that is the Hellfire
Club. This is my favorite picture of you.
It's actually one of my favorites because
I love this picture because it reads so much emotion.
It explains me, a single guy standing there looking out the window, searching for things. That's me.
Yes.
Sums me up
it's very much you. It's a beautiful photo, and it just reads. It speaks volumes without saying anything.
Did you look at the one on the back? The one on the back is pretty cool because I'm standing in the middle of all the lasers.
Yeah, that's cool. There we go. Yeah, we see it.
I can't even see.
That's okay. We see it. Everybody else sees it.
I had my nails done.
I think
feeling like the game show girl.
I was going to say pretty much everybody has one already.
Okay, so continue. April 3rd.
Well, that's probably the biggest thing I have coming up, but I do have the thing in October. Right. If you go to Ghosts Believe in Me on Facebook, it's got the tour to Scotland, and it's got different things that I'm doing. I'm going to be doing conventions. I'm going to be doing that thing in Aho. I'm doing a live ghost hunt in Tennessee, June 5th to raise, it's a charity. That's what I'm doing.
Fantastic. So they can find you at Ghosts Believe in Me on Facebook. That's where they get you. Okay. Perfect.
Or they go to Rick McCallum. That's me. That's where Amelia comes on and annoys me.
Excuse me, who's the one that calls me? Lover spot here.
I see this.
She told me I was 5'7". What did she just say? She hated me or something a minute ago.
I
said I won't go to Scotland if you're there.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I figured if you compliment him, if you compliment Rick, he doesn't catch on. But if you insult him or offend him, it's like quick.
By the way, I was going to tell you something.
I got your attention.
I'm going to tell you something. Pull your glasses off for a second.
Yes.
Pull your glasses off.
I can't see.
Well, you don't need to see. I was going to tell you, your eyes remind me very much of Sophia Loren.
Oh my God, I wish, but thank you.
No.
I wish. My eyes are hazel. Her eyes, I think, are blue, aren't they?
I don't know, but I mean the shape and everything else just
no.
reminds me of that. And
No,
actually, I'm old enough to remember Sophia Loren, so
I think that's compliment. I still adore her.
Well,
I love her.
She was the prettiest woman in the world for a long time.
She was beautiful.
My God, she was a natural beauty.
Class.
Yeah, I'm not nothing. No, but thank you.
Well, I thank you.
I call it like I see him, Pisano.
Pisano, yeah, Bubbles.
Yeah, Pisano. Michelle, we go back a ways, me and Michelle. So
yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I figured the way you're just like, getting
for a while.
Bickering, because even Joe's getting in on it. He goes, I was thinking Bubble the Gray Eyes. Oh, Bubble the Gray. That's Joe, our producer.
Bubbles the Gray,
because
Michelle called me Bubbly. Yeah.
I always call her Bubbles or Bubbly or so.
I was walking down the street the other day and a guy told me, he says, how many people tell you that you look like Bill Murray? I said, they only tell me that once. And he goes, oh.
I don't think you look like him at all.
I don't either. That's what I said. They only tell me that once.
Yeah.
When I look at you, Rick, I see a man in the past who was probably in a past life a knight. That's just me, but
Can I
think
tell
it's
you
also
something?
that you're so protective of people that you know. Pardon?
No, that is true. I have a very strong protective streak. But you know Kat Hobson, right? Who told me to tell you that she loves you.
I love her.
But
I love her.
I have told her for a long time.
I love her so much. Yeah.
My whole life, whenever I see something that feels like something is going wrong and somebody needs intercession, my hand always goes like this, like I'm holding a sword. And I've told her that all the time. I said, I don't know my past life or something, but I mean, there's something with swords. And I told her, I said,
spirit, yeah.
No, I told her, I said, I'm going to get myself one of those plastic broadswords to practice with, just because I feel like I should know it. And I looked in there like $75, and I was like, I'm going to go make one out of wood. Walked outside, threw my garbage in the thing. There was a brand new plastic broadsword sitting there on the side.
Oh, wow.
So weird things happen to me. I mean,
you put it out there and the universe just delivers, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I've always said I only have one superpower, and that's that people are really nice to me.
Right. Because you're a nice guy, though. It's reciprocation.
I think it's this.
Could be that. It could be. So yeah, could be that too. So, yeah. Well,
but no, I think that's funny you said that, because I've always thought that was the case. And Justin, I don't know if you're on the air now or not, but
yeah, you definitely have that spirit.
The most famous sword fighter in the history of Scotland was Zachary Mccallum.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Matter of fact, you should look up Zachary Mccallum versus Alistair the Devastator, a 7-foot guy that was unbeatable until he met Zachary.
Right. So, is that on that TV series where they have the two forces fighting? I think there was one was up against Vlad was up against some samurai or something. That they would put different warriors with different styles against one another.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great show. So I thought maybe on one episode, like, I got to see that.
They have some people on there winning that there's no chance they would beat the guy they say they beat. None.
Right.
And you got to understand, I've been doing stunt fighting and everything else, and I long career in martial arts and things like that. And I do a lot of weaponry. That's why I wanted to use a broadsword.
Yes.
That I can tell you a lot of stuff they were saying on there just would not happen.
Right.
Well,
it has to make for good television.
Like 2 weeks of training, you wouldn't be able to do that to them. So.
Yeah. It wouldn't make for good television, though, would it?
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, the most brutal fighter in all of the world were the Scots. Because the Scots they didn't have swords, most of them. They had to use farm implements. And most of them didn't have shields. They just picked up whatever they could make a shield, like a big piece of wood. And their fighting was not, I mean, it was like, wow.
Combat, yeah.
Yeah, their fights were brutal. So, Well, I know I've overstayed my welcome, which is generally.
Oh no, we always have a little bit of room to go. Never. So thank you.
Don't try and make up now, Amelia.
But I love you.
I love you right back. You know it.
But I love you. I love you.
You just can't. No, I can't.
We go back to 2014. We go back to 2014.
I know. That's what I said.
We've known each other for 7 years. Like literally, tons of conversations, not just Facebook.
And they're always fun conversations too.
Yes, they are.
And I didn't mind, honestly, I didn't mind you picking on me. I always like that.
I like when you pick on me.
Be careful beat me up. What you wish for.
Yeah, beat me up, slap me around. I like it.
Oh, hurt me, baby. Make me.
Oh, God.
Here we are. That's what I was looking for.
Okay, cut his mic. Cut his mic.
It's on my spot. Here, I'll unplug. This is my goodbye.
No, I'm just teasing.
This is my goodbye.
Thank you. It's tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure, and hopefully we'll do it again sometime. Maybe when you get back from Scotland with a whole bunch of new tales to tell.
Well, that won't be until next year, but
oh well, Jesus! Well, we'd like to have you on before that. So, but with that being said, everybody, we've come to another awesome segment here on the Outer Realm. Thank you, everyone, who did tune in. A little bit of a mix-up tonight, but I'm glad you all found us. Thank you to our special guest, Rick Mccallum, for joining us, and to our producer, Joe Montaldo, for taking phenomenal care of us. Please be sure to join us tomorrow evening as our fearless leader, Joe Montaldo, joins here on the Outer Realm with Amelia and I. And the topic of discussion will be ET disclosure. Is it a thing? If it is, what do we expect? And worse, who do we expect? Anyway, I don't think you're going to want to miss a segment. So join us. Thank you. Good night. Be good.